Okay, getting ready to go live. Because we have an excellent connection. And we are now live. Hi, Ryder. I guess I do see pictures next to people's names. I just never paid any attention. Hi from France. Love the dark fiber art says, hi, Siofra, blessed solstice. Yes, blessed solstice to all of you too. Whether you're in the north or the south, you have a solstice today. So, hopefully, and the first today. Woohoo! Yes, you are the first today. Woohoo! We're having sort of a bit of a windy and gray day today, but that's the coast for you. We have plans for tomorrow. Tia Marie says, hello, happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, Tia. Yes, thank you, Ryder. Happy solstice for everyone. Ian's trying to get himself in at the moment. How are you and how am I and how are you? So, apparently I'm having allergy attacks season, I guess, with the wind bringing in some kind of wonderful pollen from somewhere. So I've had occasional bouts of sneezing and taking a lot of antihistamines. Hand is still sore. Fingers are still swollen. Apparently that part of the shingles is going to take quite a while to dissipate. Ian is, how are you feeling, Ian?
Pretty good, actually. Yeah. Thinking about this stuff, I think I'll make a. I think that would actually, if I put some videos on my own channel, I can put some more esoteric things not related to paganism at all, and those were the proper setting.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Ryder says hi.
Hello.
Frankie says, hello, Siofra and Ian. Hi, Frankie. How are you guys all doing? Do you have any, have you already done your rituals or you have plans for today or tomorrow? We're going to do ours tomorrow since we do the live show today. And
sorry, it's throwing me off of the time delay between what I'm seeing and what you're saying, and sorry, I need to pop out the chat, so. Okay, so what do people want to talk about? Give me some subjects. Something to entertain me, to distract me from having an allergy attack. I could certainly use the distraction. One of the things I actually like about this, I'm pretty excited about the idea that you guys came up with last time of doing a healing circle, and we're working on that. Frankie says, I love the solar colors you're wearing today. Thank you very much. I did it on purpose. It wasn't an accident. I thought I should wear solar colors today, so here I am. But yeah, we're definitely working on that idea of doing a live healing circle, and I think we're figuring out some of the logistics. We're going to do it as a premiere, so everyone will be at the same point in the video at the same time when we launch it as a premiere, and then at the end of that we'll go into the live part and do the putting people in the healing circle. So give some thought as to how you want to do that, if you want to have your real name or a location or something like that, or just hope the energy will get to you. If you have people that you're working with and want them to participate in doing the ritual with us, that would be great. I put up the song video so we could learn some of the songs that we sing, and one of our members actually sent me links to some of the songs that they have up on YouTube. Some different words to some of the songs, which was kind of interesting. But we'll stick with the ones the way I know them, because otherwise I'd have to relearn everything. There's no reason for that.
Yeah. But my granddaughter should be coming down here next Sunday, and we're going to get her and my daughter to come in during the week and make a voice recording of the songs, the three songs that we tend to do. Ryder says, I created my very own summer solstice salad today. Flowers picked on the solstice, a half of a gem lettuce, 5 cherry tomatoes, 5 chopped black olives, 1 clove garlic, tablespoon of green onions, and a small carrot. All right, sounds tasty. Except I can't eat onions, but I can always pick them off. Ian likes onions.
I have a problem with the garlic though. But
Oh yeah, that's true. You can
that's
garlic.
okay.
Yeah, everyone's got different tastes. That's the way that works. Donio does magic, says hello. Hi, Donio. Yeah, I guess I had never really paid any attention to the thing on the side. There are faces.
You can see
Now I can see
a
them.
little tiny face of mine.
A little tiny face of you. Yes, I see
Yours
that.
back.
All right. Awesome.
That one was in front of a cave there.
Was that one of those
Yeah, that's
pictures?
part of this cave stuff in the background.
Oh.
You can't see because it got all cropped out.
We were spelunkers way back when. Laura says, hi everyone, happy solstice. Hi Laura, happy solstice. Whichever one it is, winter or summer. Ryder says, and more, there's more. A quarter of a yellow bell pepper, 6 red clover heads, 3 heads of chamomile petals, 2 young dandelion petals, small bud rose petals.
Wow.
Wow, all sorts of
That's
fun
pretty
stuff in
fancy.
there. Yeah. You pick them all yourself, grow them all yourself, or let us know when you hear that part. Looks like there's more to it. Because there's a comma at the end of that. So she has more in her salad. Wow. It's going to be a tasty salad. So yeah, it should be fun. If you have at least 3 people, you can do all the songs together at the same time, which sounds pretty awesome. And you'll hear what that sounds like when we make that video tape or whatever of that. Says we have 15 people on there. Tia says, I'm going to do a small ritual tomorrow to store the summer solstice energy in a ribbon to draw on when I need it. Lovely idea. We're going to go down to the beach and give an offering to Yemaya, goddess of the ocean. And making her some corn muffins today. Actually, after this live show, Ian is going to bake the corn muffins because this is his offering. And then we'll take them down to the beach tomorrow afternoon. And I think maybe tomorrow at noon before we go, I'm going to harvest some of the heliotrope to make heliotrope oil for the invisibility ring I'm making for my granddaughter. So that'll be kind of interesting. Yeah.
It'll be nice. We live here right by the ocean. Need to give the ocean goddess something every now and then.
Yeah, we actually have an ocean witch here that I've seen down at the ocean a couple of times. I don't know her or who she is, but when I see her, it's pretty obvious who she is or what she is. How do I say that? Yeah. So more of the recipe. It says dressing, I guess.
Nice.
2 teaspoons of red wine vinegar, 2 teaspoons of olive oil, a quarter of mustard, salt, and pepper, and chili powder. I picked them in the meadow, but the rose I borrowed from someone's garden. Well, good for you. Odin's mead horn says, since starting to worship Hecate, I've become an avid lock picker. Have you ever heard of this before? No, not in particular, but it makes sense with all of her associations with doors and keys and things. So, opening up doors seems like it'd be an easy fit
a
for
lot
Hecate.
of times if you actually get into contact with one of those energies, you start learning all kinds of things you didn't know from direct experience with it.
Rereading says, talking about oceans, have you ever seen mythical creatures such as mermaids? In the astral plane, when I travel, I've met the Undines, and I've met them in person, but they're not visible, like physically visible. They're visible to my third eye, my clairvoyant vision, and I can sense and feel their energy and so forth and interact with them on that level. But no, I guess would be the answer to that question. Writer says, hi everyone, just had to get all that out. Well, you did. You succeeded in getting all that out, so awesome. But yeah, the things you can see in the astral and mental plane are pretty spectacular because they're not confined to reality, as far as they don't have to conform themselves to any physical set of laws and physics and stuff like that. So Donio says, what kinds of things would you offer to a creek fairy? There seems to be a small presence at the creek my witchy girlfriend and I go to often, and I'm unsure of what to give them besides fruit and nuts.
That's an interesting question.
Well, the Undines down by the lake, that's near us, I gave them an offering of a blue lace agate, which was from the group of agates that I used to build my water wand, and they liked it. So stones can often be a good offering because it's something pretty and sparkly, and fairies are really fond of things that are shiny and delicate and pretty. So it can be something like that. You can sort of feel them out and see what you think. Generally speaking, most fae enjoy milk, honey, and rice together, but it's not always a good idea to put that down by a creek. I'm not sure, but you probably could do that. It's not harmful to any other forms of life that I know of, as far as that goes. So it would be a safe thing to give to them. Laura says, thanks for sharing, Ryder. Ryder says, I loved your pagan song video. Very touching. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Jonathan says, hi, everyone. Hi, Jonathan. And thank you for the links. I'm not going to relearn that one song, though, just because they have different words. Like, I'm going to stick with the ones that they taught me. But I liked it. I thought it was awesome. So Ryder says hi to Jonathan. And Laura says, thanks, Ryder. Or something. Thanks for sharing. Yes, okay. Michelle says, I love milk, honey, and rice together. Yes, it's a tasty treat, isn't it? It's like, there's just something nice about it. Donio says, thank you. Very good info to add to my notes.
Yeah, one thing is it's the most important part, I think, of giving something to them would be the feelings associated with it. The feeling of give it to them, of being friendly with them, is more important than what it is exactly, I think, personally. But then to try to align that with what they like.
Yeah, I agree. Because it's going to be your energy that they feel. Because, they're very attuned to that kind of thing, being who and what they are, as far as it goes. And, yeah. I don't think you can go wrong with almost anything, really. Michelle says, Ryder, it's delicious. Yes. Ryder said that she thought that sounded nice, the milk, honey, and rice together. Desidratum says, happy solstice. Hi, happy solstice. And Jonathan, I want to make sure I say happy winter solstice to you because we know that you're in the southern hemisphere. So Jonathan says, I like your lyrics. Just thought it was cool to find it. Turns out you're a mainstream pagan. What? Well, okay then. Those were just the songs that were around in the 80s when we got this whole thing going. So, and Starhawk songs, she was one of my first books, The Spiral Dance. And so learning her songs was certainly something I really enjoyed doing, and I've always liked her songs. So that's always fun. Athalis says, wow, I am new here, so hello from Berlin, Germany. I just finished a ritual and went on YouTube, and this popped up. So gonna follow the flow. All right, welcome. Welcome to our little live stream. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. We just throw them out there. So Ryder says that, Michelle, I'm going to try it as soon as I can. Jonathan says, I'm well. Thanks, Ryder. Ian says, welcome. He's my moderator. Something new we're trying out.
Hopefully, thankfully, nothing is needed moderation.
Yes, so far this is good, and most of the time everybody is just well behaved. We don't get too many trolls and whatnot, so that's always nice. And it's just been a good evolution.
This makes me more interactive anyway because now I can see all the comments and things as they come in. So I like that.
So Love of the Dark says, hi, Athalis. Michelle says, Ryder, use raw honey and it's very healthy for you too. Enjoy. Yeah, we picked up some raw orange blossom honey from a local shop the other day, and I'm enjoying that quite a lot. I like the specific kinds of honey when they can get them. It's just, they taste so different. Each kind of honey is slightly different flavor. So, Love of the Dark says, "Hi Ian, thanks for moderating." And Ryder says, "Something with a smile." Odin's Meadhorn says, "I'm feeling led to build and consecrate both a wand and a staff. There are many lightning-struck trees in my area. Would you recommend lightning-struck wood for either of these projects?"
Well, now that kind of depends. I used to have a staff that was lightning struck. And I'm not sure if that was good or bad. I had it handled by a genuine medicine man once. Liked it. I no longer have that staff. But at the same time I had it, my hands were cracking open and bleeding, and that is actually, there is a legend somewhere that lightning struck wood will cause that effect.
Really?
Yeah, it's a Native American one somewhere, but I don't remember
Where you heard it?
where I heard that. But so I thought that was interesting, but just as a
Precaution?
interesting thing. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, definitely. So apparently we don't know.
That's my answer is I don't know.
Yeah, so Michelle says, "I just got sunflower honey and it's so good. You're right. They all taste different. Depends on what the bees eat." Yes. So Desideраtum says, "Had a question about nature spirits. Are there more physical manifestations of them? Some folks have Fey ancestors and maybe some people have Devic ancestors." Well, my feeling about the physical manifestations of them is that they were more common in the past because our energies were closer together. It's like there's a barrier, energetic barrier between our realities, dimensions, I don't know what to call them, that has gotten a wider gap. And it could be that the more of us that are trying to make a connection back to that energy, the thinner that dimensional barrier, energetic thing, whatever it is, might get. And it might thin it enough that we could potentially get to the point where we can encounter them in person again. But I haven't. I've only encountered them like like I would a spirit being of any kind, in my inner sight and so forth. So and I have it in my ancestry for sure, because my family in Ireland was raised at the base of the Hill of Fairy, one of the 7 sacred hills of Ireland. And generally speaking, the locals didn't live close to those fairy hills because of the stories that had been spread about how dangerous they were and so forth. But historically, fairies have always had a soft spot for witches and magical users of all kinds. And so, we have sort of our own kind of relationship that's possible with them as beings. So I'm not sure about Devic ancestors, though. Is that like...
there's the Hindu Devis and Devas. I don't know if that's what they're talking about, though.
I don't know. Are there
Hindu
stories
related,
in India of people mating with gods and having children and whatnot? Have you run across any?
Not exactly like that, but similar-ish stories. That Ganesha has an elephant's head because Shiva cut off his head, and then Parvati insisted he be sprung back alive. We stuck an elephant's head on him.
That's not quite the same thing, though, I don't think.
I'm not familiar enough with that aspect of things, but I'm not even sure that's what the person was talking about, because there may be some kind of spirits. That's a 4-letter word. I wouldn't be surprised if it means something I'm not aware of.
Ava says, "Hey, happy solstice. Happy solstice, Ava." And Laura says, "Hi, Ava." Odin's Meadhorn says, "Thanks for the response. The lightning-struck trees are from a field where native warfare used to take place. I guess I was supposed to ask, the part about the hands cracking open resonated. That could be kind of intense energy, especially if they were laying on the field where a horrific battle happened. And it could sort of imbue the wood. So, yeah, it might not be a good idea in that case." Ava said, "Thanks. I'm making strawberry pies right now." Oh, Ryder said, "Happy solstice." to Ava, and she's making strawberry pie. Wow.
Yeah,
Yum.
like a strawberry pie right now.
Yeah, strawberry pie would be nice. We just got some really nice cherries yesterday, and we ate them all. They're all gone already. I think there was like 2 or 3 pounds of cherries that we ate. I have to be careful how many I buy because I love those things. So Donio says happy solstice to Ava. Writer says at Ava, awesome yum. And Athalis says, I learnt magic when I lived in Ireland. I heard you talking about fairies. Where are you based? The US of A? Yes, I'm on the Oregon coast at this point. And I've never actually been to Ireland. My mother has. And she was able to actually see the house where her mother was raised by her mother's grandmother. And that's how I know that our family homestead was at the base of Knocknashee, the Hill of Fairy. And we're from the west coast of Ireland, which is Sligo County. Whoops, I'm going to get behind here. People are starting to talk, which is good. Desidratum says, I maybe have Fey ancestors. I'm North Carolina Cherokee. Supposedly they were hidden by the local Fey friends, the Nunnahi, during the Trail of Tears time. Well, that's interesting. Supposedly we have Cherokee blood in our family line as well, although no one seems to be able to find actual evidence of it with the genealogy stuff that they've been doing. So it may just be a story. Michelle says, I'm in the UK. I'm in bed as it's after 10 p.m. All right. Nathala says, I just finished an Enochian ritual, D-stuff, 2 first calls and traditional circle thingy after. Good for you. And I find funny to find you immediately after. Do you see any reason? You seem to be doing natural magic, correct? Or you are Irish? Wow. And looks like that went in twice. Okay, I won't have to read that twice then. Writer says that Michelle Sovereign, also in the UK. I won't dare lay down because I fall asleep. So I stay up in my living room and sat at the table. Yeah, and Jonathan's in South Africa, so it's pretty late there too. I think even later than most of everybody else. So yeah, we're eclectic. So we have a lot of fingers in a lot of different pies. When we first got together, Ian was mostly into the Gnosticism, ceremonial stuff. Is that accurate?
I don't know about Gnosticism exactly, but I have a big background of Western ceremonial magic.
Okay. Gnosticism, I guess, is more the Christian thing.
To a certain extent. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's some interesting things about it.
Right.
That's not something.
So ceremonialist, basically, and I was a witch. So, but we do a lot of the same. We do this stuff together. So I adapt to what he needs. He adapts to what I need, and we find the similarities between the systems and stuff. Donio says the only thing I made recently was honey lavender tea. It was really good, but I'm gonna have to steep it for less time next time I make it. It was pretty perfumey. Lavender can be pretty strong. Michelle said, Ryder, I have to be up early, so I want to fall asleep. Athala says, I spent 17 years there. Thanks for answering. I am French. Well, I'm glad. You spent that much time in Ireland. That's awesome. Amber Orc says, 7 a.m. here in Australia. Happy winter solstice. Yes. All right. Thank you for checking in and saying hi from down under.
7 a.m., that's amazing.
The Desidratum says, I heard that divas are nature spirits from Finhorn videos. I totally believe my folks were hidden by the Fae. They had a very good relationship with them, still do. Okay, Finhorn would not have been referring to the Hindu stuff. They might have just using. Yeah. They were probably using diva in the general sense of spirit, nature spirit.
Yeah, that's what I was. Doesn't sound like it didn't quite fit with the.
So, Ryder says to Michelle, work for school. I wish you a deep, satisfying slumber. Sleep is a very important thing for healing, for sure.
Yeah, I went for years without being able to sleep, and finally got the doctor to give me some meds that actually worked for me.
And that was a really remarkable thing. I mean, he'd never actually slept through the night his entire life until about 5 years ago, I think. 4 years ago, maybe. Hasn't been that long.
Yeah, no, it's been 4 or 5. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But can you imagine being able to sleep and you're in your 40s and, have never slept? It's just like, wow.
Yeah, it'd be like I'd sleep. I'd wake up like once or twice an hour at least when I did sleep, just for like little brief time periods. And sleepy all day. Had a job where I had to drive for work, drive all day long, and then I was way sleepy to start with.
Yeah, that was a dangerous time for us because you fell asleep while you were driving more than once. Yeah, scary. So, a writer says that Amber, happy winter solstice. Yes. And Michelle says, thank you. My dreams are so amazing. I love sleep. I have very exciting dreams sometimes myself. I always have ever since I was little. I had a recurring dream that was actually not a recurring dream. It was more of a series of dreams that I would have one night after another. I had read this book called Stowaway to Mushroom Planet, and I started dreaming about this place, and all of the colors were opposite. So the sky was green and the ground was blue, and so it was in Technicolor. And I would start having this dream about this place, and then just before I fell completely deeper asleep, a thing would pop up and say, continued tomorrow night, same time, same place. And then the next night it would start
Pretty funny.
where it ended. I know. I have a very weird, apparently subconscious.
I used to have dreams I could go back to like that, but it was no like, I didn't get any messages like that with them. But if I liked the dream, I could either when I get up to use the bathroom, I could go back to it when I get back in bed. I can't do that anymore.
Yeah, sometimes I could do that too. So that was pretty funny. Tina says, I sleep too much. I fall asleep as soon as I close my eyes. I live another life in my dreams. That's always interesting too. Trying to keep them separate sometimes can be difficult for people who have that happen. Writer says, ooh, that sounds like a fun book. Actually, I think they made a TV show about that. Didn't they call it Awake or something like that? And whenever
I'm not familiar, so I don't know.
we watched it, it didn't last for very long. I think it was only one season, and it's like when he slept, he was in one world, and then when he went to sleep in that world, he was in another, completely different reality, and he was trying to figure it out in both of them, and everyone in each reality was telling him that the other reality was a dream, and he's saying, yeah, that's what you all keep saying. Something like that.
I vaguely remember that.
Anyway, it was kind of interesting. Tina says, all of my dreams connect together. Desideраtum says, if you do ancestry DNA tests and have American Indian blood, it will say Asian. I'll have to look then, because my sister did it. She's the one who did the DNA testing. But it was one of those weird things. It's like my father always told us that his grandmother was Cherokee, and considering his prejudices against everything in the universe, I figured it was probably true, because the things that he did lie about were things that would be embarrassing. Like he said that his father went to prison for transporting bootlegged liquor during Prohibition, when in reality he went to prison for stealing cheese from a boxcar to feed his children after his mother ended up in an insane asylum. So, it's like looking at the kinds of lies he did tell made me think that that one was likely true. And I had a stranger come up to me on a dance floor at a club in Vancouver, British Columbia one night and asked me if I was Cherokee, if I had Cherokee blood in me, because he said I danced like a Cherokee. I'm like, okay. Apparently I have the nose. I don't know, but it was kind of interesting. Aaron Jones says, sorry I'm late. Well, you're here, and that's a good thing. So welcome. Hello. Yeah, so it's always interesting looking back and trying to put things together and figuring things out. And sometimes it seems to make an impact on you, and other times it's just some, random interesting fact that doesn't have any impact on what you're going to do with your life. So it all depends. Happy summer day, everyone, says Amar. Hi, Amar. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Or winter. Yep, we have some people from the southern hemisphere with us right now who are doing the winter solstice. And I did include that winter song in my videos just for you guys.
so that it's there if you want to use it. Oh, the Summer Days Are Gone song, which was from that book of bard songs I have. I could probably find the book and type in who actually wrote that piece of music, because I loved the melody, though. That was just so much fun. Writer says hi to Amar. Oh, have a drink of water. Oh. All right. So we're continuing to get new subscribers, which is kind of nice. And you know, some of you guys are sending me email messages, which is good because I appreciate that, and I try to respond when I can.
Yes, and there were a couple that were sent to Menorah about, or that showed up in Siofra's mailbox that were about a couple of my videos, and I've been meaning to respond to them, but I haven't. But one thing I wanted to say, there was a couple of people who, all right, I'm sorry, I'm getting brain cramps right at the moment. My social anxiety is keeping me from saying what I'm trying to say, so I'm just going to shut up about it, but thank you for all your comments.
He really appreciated it. He really did. Amar says, I'm fine. I hope you are fine as well. Your sense of style is always amazing. Thank you. I'm glad you like it. Desideradum says, even my grandparents hid their ancestry. We can dance all right. This is true. Amar says, hi, Ryder. So, yeah, movement is one of those things that's important for everything. Brain cramps. They're contagious.
Well, it's not exactly that, but when my social anxiety kicks in, it's like a big shot of adrenaline, and then I can't think at all. Everything just goes blank, and then I get really hot, which is what just happened.
Adrenaline is something nasty sometimes. Might be good if you're getting chased by a bear.
Yeah, but it's not good for concentrating or focusing. It makes you want to fly off in all directions simultaneously.
Athala says, I have to go to bed as I work early, but I will follow you. Blessed be, happy solstice. Well, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you some other time.
Awesome.
And have yourself a good solstice, too.
So, well. Now what?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, you know, this is their time to decide what we're going to do, right?
Good point.
So I wait in anticipation.
I'm working at trying to grow some mushrooms, but I haven't got far enough along yet to know to have any idea if I'll succeed. Might have been a firework in a past life.
Yeah, okay, maybe.
I like that.
I know somebody was asking me a question of whether or not going through menopause and having hot flashes was a power source, and how would you, like, channel that. And I have no idea. I just know it's extremely unpleasant and uncomfortable, and you feel like you're going to burst into flames. And, you know, women started calling them power surges. But I don't think, as far as I know, there's no actual historical information about women being able to use that for magic. But if anyone else does, yay, let us know. Ava says, what are you guys doing for the solstice? Are you celebrating today? No, we're not. We're doing this today, and tomorrow we're going to go down to the beach with some corn muffins and give an offering to Yamaya, goddess of the ocean. And so, you know, just as an offering kind of a thing to say, hey.
Yeah, generally I don't work with the Santeria beings very often, but she has previously been very friendly to me, so like I say, they've been it's possible I may have had some sort of past life thing. They've been much more friendly and willing to work with me as not being African or a member of the religion.
Same here, since I got ridden by one. Sort of an unexpected event.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Ian, I know you have anxiety sometimes, but you're doing really well. It's nice having you here, and everyone gets a brain knot sometimes. Yes, this is true.
Desidratum says, I just got a new Moldavite sphere. Any advice on charging it? No meteor showers anytime soon. Actually, the next meteor shower, the biggest one, will be in end of July and beginning of August, I think, is one of the largest ones that's around. But there's often meteors coming around all the time. But that's probably the best way to charge it up, considering the fact that it is a meteorite. You could try to connect to the energy of the meteorite belt that's out between Mars and Jupiter, I think, is where the Kuiper belt is. That's where all the meteorites come from, isn't it? Kuiper belt. My astronomy terms are not as accurate at the moment. So, do it on a new moon or a dark moon when there's no moon in the sky at all, and do it at night so you can really see the sky. If you can go somewhere high, if you have anywhere near you where a meteorite has struck, that might be a good place to go to charge it up, to connect it with that. But just do some kind of a meditational thing that, lends your imagination to visualizing the energy being from somewhere else, not from here. I have several pieces of meteorite that I work with, and I've had them for several years, and they've been collecting energy over time because I have them charging that way. Some people find working with meteorites extremely uncomfortable and unpleasant because of the fact that it's not Earth energy. It's definitely taking you out of the Earth sphere altogether, as far as that goes. And so you have to sometimes be cautious about how you work with it and let yourself adapt to that energy and see how it feels for you. So Moonfire says, I have the social anxiety too. I get all sweaty when I panic. Yeah, sweating is definitely one of the things. Moonfire says, I just said that one. Ryder says, hardly notice your anxiety, Ian. You handle it very well. Good. Desidrator says, keep Kuiper belt. Thanks. That's a great idea. All right. Awesome. Jonathan says, at the end of my summer, I reflected. Now I am energized to look forward to my future. I'm thinking of doing a tarot spread for the upcoming year. Sounds like a good idea. It's a good time to do it. And of course, for you, entering and being in these darker months or whatever, anyone in the southern hemisphere, this is the energetic time to look within and see what's deep inside of you and what you want to either nurture and bring out or release and let go of, so that things work better for you in the future. So yeah, definitely a good idea. I don't know if you guys know or not, but we had a horrific event that happened in our community a couple of days ago. And so the whole community is kind of like on edge from a triple murder at this point. At least the situation has been resolved. So that's good to know.
Yeah, for a town this size, we get a lot of that kind of stuff for the
Well,
population size.
yeah, it was a bit of a shocker.
I thank God, not as much as Portland gets, though.
Oh, I know. My granddaughter's up there. I'm glad she's coming home for a while and getting out of the city and getting away from that kind of stuff. Desidratum says, not my first Moldavite, but I never charged the first one. Going to do them both at the same time. Awesome. Good idea. I just, for myself, can't justify the expense. But there might be a rock and gem show coming up soon, and if I see one, I might absolutely have to buy it. We'll see what happens. Laura says, what happened? Well, okay, as far as we know, what happened was this. We don't know why he did this, but he killed his father. He stole their truck. He ran over two people on the way out. He stopped at a head shop, an Herbal Choices pot store, ran in with his gun, killed a woman, ran out, drove up the coast towards and hit Florence, and then went towards Springfield. At some point in there, he crashed the truck, lit it on fire, and then now we know
he got into Springfield and he kidnapped a woman and forced her to drive him 33 hours to Wisconsin. And this morning, he gave himself up to the police in Wisconsin. And we just watched the news conference on that. So it's over, and that woman is okay. I can just not even imagine what she must have been going through being in the vehicle with him. So we'll know more later about her
No kidding,
ordeal.
that many hours.
It was very intense, and right on the main road, right on the highway. And we had police officers. We had two tribal officers, the local tribe here in our area, plus the Coquille tribal police, the state police. Lane County came down with investigators to assist. Our North Bend and Coos Bay police departments were there, and they one people they didn't mention were the sheriffs, but I would not be surprised if they weren't there too, and just they forgot to mention them at the press conference. So it was kind of a huge event for such a small community, and very surprising and sad. It's like we don't know that, and it seems like the two people that got hit, one of whom is dead and the other in the hospital, were not related to the person at all. And we don't know yet whether or not the woman who was one of the people working at the dispensary knew him in any way. We have been told that he lived here for the last while, maybe since October of last year. So yeah, the whole thing is just sort of like, and people are speculating like crazy, like they always do. So we're trying to only know what the facts are and wait for the facts to come out. So that's that. The writer says, in my 20s, I was agoraphobic, suffered with panic attacks. It was crazy, felt like I was going to have a heart attack, and I would run back home once I left all my shopping on the conveyor belt. Yeah, that can be very debilitating. And the thing is that someone who's never gone through something like that, really, you cannot comprehend how intense that is and how difficult it was, for people to get over or to cope with and whatever. So lots of drama where you are. Thought it was a quiet town. Yeah, it used to be. Most of the time it is pretty quiet.
Most of the time it is, yeah.
This is but when we get these events, we always get very weird ones. They're always convoluted and different from the normal, average weird thing. It's just
like the woman who tried to kill her husband on their.
That's when we first moved here.
Was that the honeymoon?
That was their, yes, this couple came here for their honeymoon. This is when we first moved to this area, and they were at one of the local parks down by the beach, and she pushed him over the cliff to kill him, and then called the police and said that, hey, he fell, or someone attacked them or something, but he was not dead. So they rescued him and found out what happened. So that didn't end well for her. And I'm like, doing it on your honeymoon, it doesn't seem very bright, but anytime it doesn't seem very bright. That was just plain odd.
Yeah, she hit him with a tire iron.
Yeah, and threw him off the cliff. It's just like, what? Yeah, no normal stuff around here. We don't believe in normal.
Well, it was a lot worse when we first moved in, because when we first moved here, there was a motorcycle gang in the area.
Oh yeah, those guys. That was fun.
They got rid of them, though.
Sear says, I just went through an interesting acid trip where I went through what I would consider a shamanic dismemberment. I couldn't breathe and watched my chest collapse along with the tactile hallucinations. I went through something similar.
That doesn't sound like any fun.
No, that does not sound like any fun. Acid can be a very harsh kind of method for doing that. Love of the Dark Fiber Art says, writer, I deal with that. It's so disruptive and terrifying. Writer says, at Love of the Dark, I'm sorry, it's rough to go through. Mine left as oddly as it came. Thank you. Good. I'm so happy for you. That's awesome. Amar said at Ryder, wow, I thought you were in your 20s now. But it's interesting how many witchy magic people have anxiety or experienced it in some form. I think it's actually more common in the general population than we know as well, probably. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. I've been having, I realized once I started having the full-fledged panic stuff that I'd been having anxiety for years. It just hadn't built to the point that I recognized it for what it was.
Yeah.
And eventually just got worse as I got older.
So Sear says that my shoulder became dislocated and my frantic with my arm behind my head. I came to and relocated it. I saw people in the room and heard things people said they never said. I'm just happy to be alive.
Wow.
I'm good. glad you are, and it can be difficult to recover from that and put yourself back together. I actually did a video about my own shamanic dismemberment, which is maybe not the correct term for what happened, but the one that I knew at the time. A Western term would be crossing the abyss. It's sort of like a dissolution of your spirit being and stuff like that, and then the putting back together of yourself, and you have to do it yourself. So keep at it.
Yeah, well, I kind of agree with that. Just for a lot of people would not consider that crossing the abyss, though in my mind it's the same thing. But as far as a strict definition of Western Hermetic magic, that's a term from that was absconded with from the old Kabbalah. So I think the experience is
Okay,
think of the word, sorry.
That's
Words
okay.
are gone.
Desideratum says, I remember you've ridden comets. How do you connect to space intelligences? That would be a great video. The intelligence I connected to when I was a kid and still do were the planetary intelligences in our own solar system, rather than space intelligences in other parts of the universe. I figure there's enough stuff going around in my own backyard. I don't need to really look too far. And that would be the comets that I wrote on too. It's like they're our solar system is what I connected with.
Yeah, there's
Right.
a lot of beings in the hierarchy around here, tons and tons of them.
So Ryder says that Amar, that's so sweet. I'm in my 40s now. Vera says your video helped me cope extremely. Oh, good, you saw it. I'm glad, because it's difficult to explain to someone who hasn't gone through it, and it's very intense. There's no doubt about it. Especially since it took so long to get myself back together. I mean, I was pretty much hallucinating 24 hours a day for almost a year, I think, when that happened to me. And I know a lot of the stuff I saw was real and true, but not in the same way. I mean, I was married to my first husband when that happened, and he was a serial rapist and a sociopath. And he came home one night, and I opened my eyes and I saw this monster, literal monster, coming at me, and I just started screaming. And he kept saying, "It's just me, it's just me, it's just me." But it still looked like the monster. So in retrospect, I'm pretty sure I actually saw who he truly was, like, an expression of his inner energy externalized itself so that I could see, because that was earlier on in our relationship that happened. So yeah, it's kind of a weird time. So Spirit Incarnate says, "Hi, Siofra and Ian. Just caught your live. I will watch what I missed later." Yes. Otherwise, you might miss the rest of the show, right? Sierra said, "Thank you." Ryder says, "Blimey." Yeah, it was kind of weird, for sure. Laura says, "Crying." Yes, it was sad. I certainly learned a heck of a lot, though, and I did a lot of wondering. I mean, when you're with somebody who does something like that, the people around you often blame you for the other person's actions, which is sort of extremely wrong. I have like a soft part in my heart for people who discover that the person that they're with is not the person that they thought they knew, and that being some serial killer or whatever, because it's not fair to blame the spouse or the loved ones or something that are around them for the person's actions and stuff. So I did a lot of research and a lot of study and stuff into psychopathy and sociopaths and whatnot, and realized that they're really aliens. They're not human. They don't have human feelings and human emotions or compassion, and they're good at faking it. And since they don't really have the feelings to start with, they don't have the telltale signs of the normal lying, and so you don't get any clues. There's no visual cues that your body will pick up on that there's something off about them. So it makes it much more difficult to identify. But I've learned you take them at their word. If they say something bizarre that you don't think it could possibly be true and no one could be serious about it, if they say something that seems so totally off, you're probably talking to a sociopath, because that's the way they are. So Desideratum says, "Definitely meant within the solar system. Afraid if I went too far, I might not want to come back." Yeah, there's that. Okay, so each planet has got its own set of beings, and and you can connect with any of them to a certain level. So, the Mercury beings, the Venusian beings, the Martian beings, the Jupiter beings, probably want to stay away mostly from the Saturnian beings because they're a little bit harsh for most people. But I even met a being from Pluto who apparently took a fancy to me at one point. I don't know why. I never understand these things. And he was sort of odd to say the least, but he was one that hung around a lot, and in during my acid days, I think that might have been.
I think Mars can be pretty harsh too sometimes.
So Venus, Jupiter, they're probably the easiest ones to um, connect with, I think, on an emotional, and the lunar beings, of course.
The lunar probably would be.
Yeah, probably the lunar ones would be the most easy.
Stone girdling the earth, but that's another whole other thing.
Yep.
It would require an explanation.
The writer says, and look at the amazing person you are. I think you are awesome, Siofra. Thank you very much. It's been a long traveling road to get to where I am, and I've worked hard to get here, so yay. Michelle says, you saw his true self. It feels so awful when that happens, but it's for your protection. Absolutely. Amar says, in your experience, how did the other planets feel compared to Earth Gaia? Well, I don't think I met the planetary intelligence. I met the beings that composed the sphere around the planet. So I don't know. Because Gaia would be different. Gaia is like a goddess. She's like, the whole planet, the consciousness of the planet itself in that sense. And we would be like the people and the fae and the spirit beings and stuff like that, and whatnot would be some of the spirits that inhabit this that someone else might connect with. Go back a wee bit. Oh, I went the wrong way. Okay. Silver Ravens Black Garden says, hey, hi, Silver Ravens. Laura says, my ex was a narcissist sociopath. Good times, yeah. And they like empaths. We're really nice to feed off of and control and manipulate. It's just very joyful for them. Spirit Incarnate says, I agree, writer. I think Siofra and Ian are amazing people. I am learning a lot from listening to them. Oh, thank you. We're so appreciative. One of our friends says she really likes the way we communicate with each other, and she says it's very refreshing. It's not usual, which we think is just normal because that's how we are. So what do we know? Desideradum says plutoniums are very passionate and sexual. Well, there was a definite sexual side to that guy. But he didn't look very fun. I mean, he was like 8-9 feet tall, had a skull for a head that had kind of parchment skin on it and glowing green balls for eyes. And then the rest was just covered up with a black robe thing. So you only saw from here up. The rest of it was just black. I don't know if there was something underneath or not. Amber Oryx says, I'm 22 now. My father is a sociopath. I am living and hiding from him and have been for 6 years now. I'm so sorry. That's got to be a terrible situation to be in, and to be raised by a sociopath. That'd get its own challenges for sure. Jonathan says, what does a sociopath's aura look like? I don't see auras, but I always find it fascinating when other people describe them. I remember your story about the guy with the collapsed crown chakra. I don't think I ever actually saw his aura in particular, so I don't know. But I've been able to start identifying them sooner. You look for a sense of callousness and uncaring about people. Like, let me get a lozenge in me here, apparently. I did put a lozenge in my pocket. There we are. Yeah, so, like, we had a chiropractor working in our office for a while that I figured out was a sociopath right away. The first time I talked to him, actually. So I'm getting better at it. And, I said, hey, nice to meet you. Looking forward to working with you and your clients and, doing referrals back and forth and, you finding out about my work and how I do my job and so forth. And his response was, you send people to me, then I send people to you. That's how it works. And I thought, okay, there's something wrong with this man because he is supposed to be a healer, and it's not about his patients. It's not about his clients. It's about his bottom line in his pocket. nothing wrong with making money, but that's not the first thing on your mind. And so I warned everybody about it, and it took them another 5 or 6 months to realize I was right. But yeah. Ryder says Ian is a lucky firework.
I like that.
He feels lucky. My dad's aura was like black smoke. Interesting. I used to see auras a lot more when I was a kid. But I'm starting to see them again, so that's kind of neat. And Ryder says that at Amber, flippin' heck, I hope things work out okay for you. Silver Raven says clap hands and heart. Jonathan says, ooh, reminds me, Ian, do you do a structured chakra opening ritual?
No, I kind of meditate on them in an unstructured rituals, depending on what. Let's say I don't use ritual for them anymore, but I meditate on it and do the chakra openings by meditating on the various aspects of the chakra, and I try to transfer my consciousness first to that chakra and then be in it as if it were three-dimensional around me. Meditate on it that way. Talk to maybe the Devi of that chakra, that kind of thing. So I don't really have anything structured, and I just kind of do it spontaneously, I guess, at this point. I do it usually, probably 7, 8, 10 times a week, something like that. But nothing specific. Mostly been focusing on the root chakra.
Amar says, okay, understood. Read planet versus planetary beings. This is a good opportunity for some homework on my end then. Amber says, I've never been happier. That's awesome. Good for you. I had a sister who had to go into hiding and change her identity from her ex. Sometimes this happens. Love of the Dark says, Amber, I'm in the same boat with my dad. It's been 5 years since I parted ways and blocked him out. Hang in there. Michelle said, honey and lemon and hot water will help. For my throat, yes, but I'm not in my kitchen. I'm sure. Jonathan says, Amber, black smoke sounds like what it would be. Thank you. Yes, it does sound like an appropriate kind of... I actually, because of all my experiences, life experiences, I had to come up with a different definition of what a human being was for me. Because, I consider myself a human being, and I met so many people who were so different and didn't seem like they were. I realized that, to me, being a human being is something you have to actually work for and become. It's not something that's automatic. And sociopaths can't become human beings because the emotional content of your heart is one of the things that makes you human.
They can sure fake it, though.
They sure can fake it, but they can't actually be it. So, because in the beginning I thought I was an alien because I was so different from everybody around me. And then later I thought, no, wait a minute, I belong here. and there's something wrong with them. There's not something wrong with me. So that's what I did in my head to create a narrative that worked so that I could move forward and leave that stuff behind. Desideron says, I heard sociopaths mirror people so their auras might be a copy of whoever they're near. Who knows? Not everyone has an aura, says Michelle. Well, it depends on your definition of an aura. If you're alive and you have electrical activity and you can move your muscles, you have, by definition, an aura. As far as electromagnetic energy field around your body is concerned. Because that's just, the physics and the biology of it. I had someone who said I didn't have an aura once. She freaked the hell out. She thought I was like what do they call them, an ally from the Castaneda books?
Yeah, but you're normal.
I know, I have an aura, but she didn't see it. And because she didn't see it, she was convinced I wasn't human. So you have to be careful. So Love of the Dark says, Michelle, I was just going to ask that. I never felt that my dad had one. I don't see them, but I can feel them, and I never felt his. Love of the Dark says, it's just blank. Thanks, Ian. Exactly what I was asking.
Cool.
Desiderata, he says, thumbs up, just
Cool.
like I did. Desideratum says, I never looked at my biological mother's aura. Narcissist, borderline personality. I was too busy hiding from her. Survival is important.
more important sometimes than everything else. Because without survival, you can't go anywhere. Michelle says, love of the dark, he probably was void of spirit light entirely. You shouldn't have to hide, but I understand, says Ryder. I love allergies.
Get you an antihistamine.
I took one just before we started.
Okay.
Jennifer S. says, can you train yourself to see auras? Can you recommend any books or exercises to help that process? Well, getting yourself in a dim lighting with a blank wall with nothing on it, and putting your hand up and looking past your hand and unfocusing your eyes. The first thing you should be able to see will be sort of like a gray, or it's sort of a light gray, dark gray kind of energy will be the first thing that you're able to see around your fingers and stuff like that. And then later, as you keep on looking and practicing, you can start to see colors coming out. I now can see my extremely vivid green aura that I have, which is way cool. Damn it. Okay. Michelle says sometimes we see what we want to see. And Mar says, I felt alien too, but I agree. Kind and empathetic people have every right to live, be happy and be healthy in our bodies on this planet. Claudia says, hello. Hi, Claudia. Love of the Dark says, that makes sense, Michelle. He's really awful being. I would have expected his aura to be sharp and staticky like other awful folks I've felt, but it was just like a void. Ryder says, hi, Claudia. Yeah, we never know what kind of subjects we're going to end up going in off of. It depends on what's going on in the world, right? But hey, anybody doing bonfires? We can't do bonfires. We're now not allowed to do any open fires because we're already in fire season. Even down on the beach at the level, at low tide, I think.
Even let us go out into the woods this year at all.
Well, I think the woods are now open, but we'll see. That was COVID that stopped it last year, not fire danger.
No, it was fire danger. Stopped us from allowed to go up to.
I thought that was the COVID restrictions, but whatever. We'll see what happens. Love of the Dark says that makes... I did that. Okay. Moonfire says Cassie Ull has some good books about chakras and auras. No, I haven't heard of her. But then again, I'm old school. Been around too long.
Yeah.
Right, not too long. Just long enough and continuing to stay. That's not what I'm saying. As far as, like, getting, new stuff. So Ryder says, what type of aura do you think someone would have if they were the type to take another's energy all the time? I'd think that they would have a bunch of black cordy things in their aura, because that's what I've seen. I've seen that happen a couple of times where a black tentacle-like thing comes out of somebody and grabs onto someone else's energy field and then pulls energy in. Vampiric kind of stuff is what I would expect, since I've seen a few of those. Laura says, should a person who does Reiki offer to send you energy? Is that legit? Well, sure. People can send me energy, and that's legit, because a Reiki master, actually second degree, can send energy long distance. I just have, apparently the wind has kicked up some pollen that I am not a happy camper with.
I actually think it's the third degree that gives you the distance healing ability, but I might be mistaken.
No, it's the second.
It's been a long time ago.
It's the second degree that gives you the distance. The third degree gives you the ability to transfer the symbols and stuff into someone else's aura and connect them to the Reiki angelic forces and stuff like that. Anyway.
I don't see auras.
So Jonathan says, do people's auras ever change slowly over time? Well, they change all the time. I'd say they are constantly changing. It depends on how you're feeling. My son, when he was a kid, he came home one day from school and he asked me
what it meant when someone's aura just, they suddenly turned all red around them. And I asked him, when did this happen? Apparently his teacher came into the room and she was just flashing red because she was really, really angry. And that's what I got out of it, was that it was rage. So, I mean, an aura is a dynamic system that's constantly changing. It might have a common theme that's there most of the time that tells you something about who they are at their core. But if you're sick, you're going to have changes in your aura in different parts of your energy field that someone might be able to see and pick up, which is how intuitives work, medical intuitives.
Yeah. I once worked for somebody who he was the boss. He would usually show up after the store opened, and I could tell when he was a few miles away if he was angry or not when he was coming in. You could actually feel that anger or whatever coming. He was just like a big transmitter for everything.
So Amber says, love of the dark, I could always feel my dad's energy hooked to mine. Do you have that? And when I got his energy off me, I could feel he felt it energy break. I bet he did. Namar says, have you read any books by Ted Andrews? If so, did you like them? Nope. Haven't read any books, so I don't know if I like them.
Nope.
Haven't read a lot of modern authors just because we're busy just being at this point.
And I've been kind of going the other direction and reading the ancient tantras and things.
So Ryder says to Laura, distant healing is okay so long as you have permission from the person you want to send it to. Yes, absolutely, Ryder. Thank you for pointing that out, because that's definitely one of the rules. Marcus says, hi guys, late again, still lots of love from London. Hi, Marcus. And Amara says, I agree on the permission. Yes, because, sometimes people don't want to get other people's energy. Just because you think it's a good idea or it's a kindness in your mind doesn't mean that it's accepted the same way as it's intended.
Right, you have to be compatible with the energy somebody's trying to send you.
Jonathan said, that black tentacle story from the church haunts me. Like I said, I can't see them, but I understand exactly what people mean when they describe them, like the black smoke description. Yeah, it is very weird. That was a scary place, and it wasn't actually in the church. It was a church group. I thought I was going to a science lecture on nuclear energy, and I like science, so it was kind of a surprise with all the tentacle things happening. But I also saw that at the Native American medicine wheel ceremony. That one guy that was there was putting out those tentacles too, and he was sucking people's energy. So that was not church related. That was just, and I it doesn't have to be specific to that. This happens to be the environment I was at. Ryder says, I have my Reiki degrees. The only ones left to study is my master's, but that's for folks who want to teach others Reiki, and I'm not sure I want to do that yet. Perhaps later on. Marcus says, hi, Laura. Laura says, happy Litha, Marcus. Love of the Dark says, Amber, I never felt that from my dad. Well, I felt a lot of rear whenever he was around. Fear, I'm thinking, yeah.
The funny thing was, I just read that as fear without realizing the spelling mistake until after the comments below.
And when I stopped visiting or taking his calls, the fear went away. I understand the fear. When my father finally passed from here, it was like the year before Ian and I got together, so it was 1990 that my father died. The relief was amazing, unexpected, and incredible that I didn't have to worry about him showing up. So I understand that totally. Ryder says, at Marcus, A. London. Yeah, we figured out that fear thing. That's fear, not rear. Be scary of the butt. I'm looking forward to that. Oh, yes. It is a, I was surprised. I really was. I was like, I had not realized that I had been watching for his face. And every time I saw men that I didn't know, I had to scan each face individually and compare them to my memory of my father's face to make sure that they weren't him, because he was still out there and he might decide to look me up. So, yeah. And when he was dead, my mother went to the funeral to make sure he was dead to see the body. I got her to confess to that. My other sister had forgiven him and stuff like that, and She said she went for her and for my brother. But I said, yeah, but really the main reason you wanted to go was to make sure he was dead and he couldn't hurt us anymore. She says, yeah, you're right. So sometimes it's a relief. There's no doubt about it. So, keep on staying away because it's a good thing for you. Good mama. Yes. She has done a couple of good things. Ironic, it's Father's Day. Oh, I had forgotten. That is ironic. Today is Father's Day, and
I'm not a father, so I didn't.
And we're talking about bad fathers.
My father's dead.
That's true.
Yep.
Yeah, somebody had one of those memes on Facebook or whatever that says, say what it is that your father taught you. And I thought to myself, they don't want to hear what I have to say about that because, the main thing was to fear men. That was like.
Yeah, with me it was my mother. But that's neither here.
Yep. So Jonathan says, I think that story about the Christian group stuck with me because there are so many of these mega church preachers who I now picture with those tentacles. I feel that other dude was a different evil. Yeah. The thing is that I don't know that they know that they're doing it.
Right.
I mean, they may not be conscious. They may not ever be able to see.
To it,
right.
Do it consciously, but yeah.
But I can see it. Sometimes it's not fun to see thought forms. Some people's thoughts are really not much fun at all. I can tell you.
Eggy and spiky.
Well, the thing about thoughts is that they look and feel and smell exactly as what they are. So, bad thoughts, they smell bad. I mean, they smell like the most horrible thing you've ever smelled in your life, and they have terrible colors, and sometimes they have claws and teeth and all sorts of weird things. I saw the form of hate come out of somebody's head once and climb down, and it was like a demonic kind of look to it. And it floated out of her head. It like pulled right out of the top of her head and floated down the stairs and then sat right in front of me. So I knew that it was me that was for. And I looked at my friend and I says, you hate me, don't you? She said, yes, I do. I'm like, I know. I can see that. So learning how to control that and not having to see them all the time is very helpful. Maybe this convo was needed. Yep. Synchronicity. And writer says, oh my God, it is too. Laugh out loud. My father's dead too. He was a good guy, though. He's clearly dearly missed. Good. I think everyone should have had good parents. I want everyone in the world to have good parents, so I don't wish it on anyone at all. Mercury Chan says, my father died this year as well. He died without ever apologizing for all the abuse to me and my mother. That seems to be often the case. Amara says to Jonathan, I agree. Looking back, I felt the often antagonistic energy too as a child. Laura says, sorry to hear that, Mercury. Sometimes apologies are nice, but if you can't get them in person, you can get them in the other side sometimes. And so those who are like in the Southern Hemisphere, that's the kind of ritual stuff that you can do if you have things unsettled with someone who's passed over to the other side. It's a good time to like send them messages and clear them out of yourself and so forth. Michelle said, I never knew my father, but my stepdad was a good man. Yay. Love of the Dark says, happy Father's Day to all of the good dads out there. Yes, I'm sure there are some. So, writer says, love, some kind of a emoji. I think that's a happy, smiley hug emoji or something. Laura says, you're welcome. Michelle says, you're here at Love of the Dark. Marcus says, you took the words out of my mouth, Laura. Yes. He does a draw him, says, anyone want to talk about the Fae? Solstice stories. It's a hug.
Cool. Oh, all right.
Thumbs up to Marcus. I mean, the Fae are around all the time, so I don't have any specifics. Love of the Dark says, oh, my stepdad is great. He's a grumpy curmudgeon that tries really hard not to laugh too much, but he has a heart of gold and loves my mama to pieces. Good. Jonathan says, Desideratum, yay. Do Fae have auras? Hey, yes. Well, I think mostly is the aura that you sense from them. Because if you don't see them, it would only be the aura that would impact you. So I guess, yes, they have an aura, but not the same way we do.
Well, yeah, I'd say so, and that goes for the elemental beings too. But they're just one element, so that's all they put forth. But yeah, I would say that would be a yes.
Writer says, are the Fae more active around the solstice? Do they celebrate it like humans do? Well, they have their jobs. I mean, if we're talking about the nature spirit type of Fae, every time of year and every change in the season gives them something new that they have to take care of. Whether it's making sure at this time of year that things are ripening the way they're supposed to so that there's going to be a harvest in the fall, or, depending on what time of year it is. They're really busy in the spring because everything's coming up and waking up and getting busy and going and going. The Faes that I've seen, they have sort of like a hierarchy. I mean, they have job-specific kind of fairy folk where it's like their job is just take care of this one plant or this one tree or whatever. And then there's other beings that are more of a conglomerate of them. When I lived up north, the cedar tree that I connected to, that my first wand came from, was kind of like the mother cedar of all of the cedars in that forest. So, like with trees, you have that kind of thing where each tree has its own unique, specific kind of energy. But then some of those trees are like they hold the awareness, consciousness energetically of more of the trees. So each type of tree in the forest will have one tree that's like the mother, father of that tree. And it's sort of fascinating to me how they communicate through the mycelium in the ground and stuff like that, and tell each other things and talk. They're constantly exchanging information and so forth. And what we see in biology, they see that as signals of sense. Like if a tree is being infested with a specific insect, it'll change its smell, and that will spread throughout the forest, and the other trees of its kind will know what that means, and they will start to change the chemical composition of their own leaves and bark in order to make them less appealing to the insect infestation, which is pretty friggin' awesome. And when a tree is getting near the end of its life cycle, it realizes that's what's happening, and it will actually reverse the flow of nutrients. Instead of bringing nutrients up out of its roots and up through its trees and up through the trunk into the branches, it reverses that and starts pushing the energy back down and the nutrients down into the soil and spreads it out in all directions to feed the other trees that are near it. So the symbiotic relationship that they have, and nature spirits and fae are part of that symbiosis, just on a different level. It's just like astral mental planes and spirit planes. It's like there's different levels of things that are going on, and the physical one actually reflects a lot of the stuff that's going on in the other ones as well. So Desideratum says, I've seen Fae manifest as bluish, glowy orbs. What type of Fae people are these? I don't know. I ask when I see a new one. In fact, I saw one. Oh yeah, last night actually I had one come to visit, and she had dark hair. There's not one of the she.
A lot of times you can just ask them. Like the fire pixie, I said, the reason I found that out was I said, whoa, what are you? When she came flying out of my lamp, said she was a fire pixie, and she left a big trace of
sparks.
Well, like she drew a diagram as she went.
Like maybe her spirit seal?
No, it was just to be pretty. I'm sure it was just decorative, but it was pretty cool. She left it as she went. Whatever.
Yeah, that makes me think of something though. I had a night when I could see people flying in the astral plane out in the sky at night, and even during the day. I've had that happen, where it was like their cord, the that cord that you have that connects, the silver cord that some people get when they're astral projecting. And as they were traveling, I could actually see the cord and the stream of sparkles that they left behind. And the one I saw during the day, I was watching the birds, and these birds are flying around in all these different directions and stuff, and I suddenly realized that they were flying around the cords that were in the sky from these people that were traveling. So the birds could see them, and they didn't want to like hit them, or, as if they were real. And they were making these swooping, it was quite amazing. And at night, the one that happened at night when I saw it was like rainbow sparkles, streamer trails going through the sky, which was really quite pretty. I liked that. That was fun. Okay, so Marcus says, it's my birthday on Tuesday, the 22nd. Also, do you think Devil's Tower was a tree? You mean the big giant rock formation in Wyoming? Isn't it in Wyoming or Dakota?
I don't know where that.
I think it's a rock formation. I
Seen
don't.
pictures of it. Yeah.
I don't think it
Seen
was a
pictures
tree.
of it.
Philippa says, hello, late again. We'll have to watch replay. Have fun. Happy early birthday, Laura says. Thanks, Marcus says. Mara says, when the Fae communicate with you, is it vocal or more telepathic? Definitely telepathic, not really very vocal. Although sometimes I hear music. And then I smell them now. We actually had the vanilla one was back in our living room the other day for a period of time. But just for like about a half an hour or so, I could smell that one. And as a feeling, it's like, these are the senses that we're trying to develop doing magic and ritual and meditation and everything else. So it's like developing the abilities is what we're all about. May 1st and summer solstice are supposedly the most active and visible. Actually, I think it's May 1st and October 31st, not the summer solstice. As far as the thinness of the veil.
Well, you really got that throat thing going on today.
Yep, I do. It started early this morning. But that's okay, this keeps me distracted. Rainbow Streamer sounds beautiful. It was. Much love to our Faye family and friends. Thank you, Faye, for work each day. Laura says, better late than never, Felipe. Jonathan says, this idea of Faye having jobs is interesting. Like, who's the big boss at the top of the Faye hierarchy? The Horn God and Triple Goddess? Are there any incompetent, lazy Faye? If so, did they get fired? No, I think that they are, by their nature, compelled to do their job and want to do it. So I don't think there would be any lazy ones, or they wouldn't get fired.
Yeah, they're more like a force that just is.
But yes,
But
the
they
god
work-
and the goddess would be the
Yeah.
top of the
But
hierarchy.
they like work together, like bees do, or some of the insects or things.
Yeah, bees and ants and
Those insects that make the image of a perfect flower when they all get together with their wings, that type of thing.
that kind of thing. Sort of like a group mind.
Yeah, where they don't have, they don't. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, when I had that experience with, when I met that two-headed giant spirit dragon thing, and when I succeeded, otherwise I probably wouldn't be here talking to you, then the fairies followed us back to the cabin, and they wanted stories about the beginning of creation and the god and the goddess, and I told them different mythologies, and I just regaled them with all kinds of stories. It was like the cabin was just filled with these beings that were wanting me to talk about things. So I did. So yeah, and like the ones that I saw in my bedroom in Santa Cruz, they were like the little dragonfly size ones, and a bigger one that had like butterfly wings, but much larger than a butterfly, came in and herded them out. Like she was in charge of them getting back to work, because apparently I distracted them because they came in to see me. So who knows? Apparently I'm fairy, what you call it, a fairy drug? I don't know.
Well, visible to them anyway.
Yeah, they notice me. Philippa says, indeed, Laura. Ryder says, must be catching because I've started coughing and drinking water. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to infect the internet. Chantel says, glad I caught your live cast. Well, welcome. We're going to be done in about 5 minutes here, so if you have any questions, get them out there. Now is the time. Ryder says, I love the cartoon and Fantasia of the fairies. Yes, that's true. And I saw Fantasia on the big screen from the first row, stoned on acid. Not recommended. Man, was that impressive, though. Especially when, the devil came out of the mountain and then the song thing came out of the sky. Like, yeah. Oh, boy. That was something else. What a trip.
You were what, in your 20s or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
This was before my son was born. And I had him when I was 22, so that was like, whoa. Yeah, the things we did on acid. So long as I kept it light and funny, then I was okay. It was the trip that got me going was the one that, split everything apart was because I was trying to remember my past lives. And that was the mistake, going into it with that in mind, apparently. Jonathan says, you're making me want to watch that again now, to Ryder.
I think we need an acid trip emoji.
I don't know.
I have no idea
what would that look like? We'll have to watch some Monty Python and see if we can find one that would work. Those guys were seriously stoned on acid when they wrote that show. First episode I saw, I'm like, yep, that's they're on it. There's no doubt about it. Only somebody in that state could think of these weird images and put them together. It's just the strangest thing. So now everybody wants to watch the Fantasia. It was pretty cute. I enjoyed it. And the music, nice music. It was a good introduction to classical music for sure. They did a good job with the animation then. Too bad Disney hated children. And it was a flop when it first came out.
Oh, I didn't.
Mm-hmm. Fantasia was a complete and total flop when it was released. And it only became popular later, and maybe acid helped make it more popular. Who knows? But don't you love the hippo with the ballet hippo? I thought that was adorable. I thought that was just quite wonderful. Lots of fun. So, so yay. So any more questions, guys, before we get off of here? We're at like an hour and 28 minutes, so we got 2 minutes left. Ah, fairies. Good. 3 different fairies, or 2 fairies, 2 different fairies, and 1 repeated.
Oh, took a moment to pop up on mine.
Ah,
I got it a bit after you did. I like these mushrooms because they grow around here.
apparently at the moment our bit rate is 0, so I'm not sure if we're getting through. But it looks like we're still going.
Get my mushrooms?
Not yet. There they are. Desidratum says, thank you for advice. You're welcome.
I like those because we have them growing like we could step out the door and over into the park, and we have them growing everywhere.
Yes, poisonous mushrooms.
Amanita was scary as well. Not exactly poison.
That's not the fly agaric,
Well, it is.
but it's not entirely poisonous.
It's not poisonous. If you boil it, it's hallucinogenic.
Okay,
But
we're still
that's
getting through. So Ian was wondering if my voice matches my mouth, and we forgot to ask.
If we were getting any time delay between the voice and the video. Because if we are, we can tweak that on our end.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, we can try if But if it matches up fine, then we won't need to worry about it.
Jennifer says, thank you for everything you do. It's very much appreciated. You're welcome. Jonathan says, okay, next Sunday, Acid and Fantasia. All of us, especially the viewers who don't comment. Yes, you are in sync. Awesome. Thank you, Ryder. Appreciate you giving us our feedback so that we know what's going on. And Philippa says that voice and lips match. Yay. So I don't look like I'm drunk.
Good. So we don't need to tweak it for that then. It's just the videos then.
And Amar says, your mouth and the sound matches. Thanks for the stream
Cool.
today and answering questions.
Well, thank you all for being here and giving us something to talk about. Otherwise, we'd be pretty bored if nobody showed up.
That's true.
So thank you.
Ryder says, thank you so much for this weekend. Loved it. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Philippa says, thank you all. Okay, guys. So we're going to continue to work on that project to do the healing circle live kind of thing. So we'll update you guys as we it'll probably take a couple weeks for us to do it, but it'll come out as a premiere, and I'll do a short intro, like spiel or whatever before the video comes out so that you know what you want to do to get ready for it if you're going to participate in an online ritual and do this healing work or whatever for each other or people that you're with. So enjoy your day, guys. And if you're celebrating today, go forth and celebrate. If you've already done it, yay for you. And if it's tomorrow, yay for you too. That's going to be us tomorrow. So, all right. Love you guys.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Or good morning.
Good morning, good day.
It is.
Early, late, wherever you are on the planet. Bye-bye.